right, ladies and gentlemen, the books is in. The books are in. Yep. They in. They're here. All right. ETM Hotel, Rna Shawn. Welcome in peace. My name is Shawn. I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in to Science with Shawn. Hold on. Give me 1 second, y'all. Trying to get the link out to Brother Chavis and also to Brother Unc. Like the show, share the show, tell a friend, tell a friend. Peace, Brother Ken. Peace, Brother Kent. See y'all in the building representing. Much love. That's what's up. That's what's up. See y'all. Let me see here, man. All right, so this is going to be a continuation of a conversation that I was having in the car. People really couldn't hear it between me and Brother Chavis. It's going to get to that at some point. But today I'm going to go through a series of topics, and then we will elaborate on the rest of the conversation regarding, Science with Shawn, how it's going to rock out. Peace, Brother Chris. Peace to you, Brother Chris. Infinite Minds, Rostermind, Keenan. I see people coming in. Appreciate everybody coming in. We're going to have this talk. We're going to have this vaccine talk. We're going to have it in the middle. I want to kind of lead with some information first, just to kind of get into it. And then, I'm going to wrap that up. I'm not going to hold it over. And then me and Brother Chavis, we're going to build. So hopefully, you know what I'm saying? He needs his computer. He got his sources on deck, and he ready to convey that info, that viral vector info he got over there. You know. So yeah. You hear him. He on the panel. He on the panel. Like the show, share the show.
Hello, man.
Yeah. Don't get ready. Just.
I'm just gonna pull out the packet. You know what I'm saying? We just pull out the packet.
That's perfect. Get right to the beat. Listen. Yeah, I see you. We're gonna get right to that. We're gonna get not right now, but we're gonna get.
Go ahead.
Straight to that data. Right now, I'm just trying to get the show out, so I can't share it on Facebook like that. So I'm dropping it a couple places. And then we're going to get it cracking. We should be joined later by Brother Unc. I don't know if he got the time. But somewhere along in this show, depending on how long we rocking out, bro, I think Brother Unc will be joining us. So with that said, man, I'm going to let you go ahead and introduce yourself. And then we'll start today's Science with Shawn lection. And then we'll get into the other business.
Well, you can hear me?
Yes, sir. Clear.
All right. Well, if y'all can't read, you know what I'm saying? I'm Chavis, Tep Hessel, Owl, McCray. That's some stuff that I learned via fooling with the session, actually learning how to read them and decipher them. So I give all praises to them boys on that, because those are my teachers. Boy, Shawn is my teacher as far as that goes. As far as the science goes,
oh boy,
you know what I'm saying? You know, I teach myself. I'm self-educated in that area. I'm also going to school.
I don't know
health science. right now online. You know what I'm saying? But just a regular dude that tries to push out right information, keep people from saying dumb stuff. It irritates me when I'm, on Facebook, on my Facebook scroll, and I see craziness. I don't like pseudo. It irritates me.
Mm-hmm.
Dad, you let Kyrie go now? Yes, I let him go outside. Let him go outside. I'm on the thing though. Yeah, I'm a father of four. You know what I'm saying? That's who y'all gonna hear whenever I be on a live in the background. That's who you hear. My little one. I'm out here in the H though, north side.
You on the north, huh?
On that north. In Acres home, Anusha knows. We rock over. We in the heart of Acres home in the Florida. You know what I'm saying? Straight off Little York, off 45, exit Little York, come straight. You in my territory. Really, the whole north side is me. Really, the whole city is me. I'm good all over here. You know what I'm saying? But north side specifically, Acres home, Studewood, that's me. You know what I'm saying?
All right. Okay, I see you.
Also, go ahead. Yeah.
I see
Come
you.
from the West Coast. Grew up in the West. Grew up in San Diego.
Okay, I see Trick Deer in the building, Nunu in the building, Keisha in the building. Can't represent. You know what I'm saying? Juju in the building. Homa in the building. From West Africa, D Mac, Mongo Slade, Keenan. Brother Chris again, Infinite Mind Roster, and Kenneth Stokes. Look, man, everybody on Facebook, I'm about to dial it off because we finna keep the science. I was letting y'all know that we live on the Massa Warrior Clan channel. You know what I'm saying? Anybody familiar with it, I'm gonna put anybody interested in the topic because we're about to get into it. We're gonna get into the results. We're gonna have some good conversation. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna challenge my brother right here, man, on his data. You know what I'm saying? He got to pack it out. He flaunted it. He got to pack it out. I'm trying to see what he's talking about. You know what I'm saying?
Too, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So in the description of this video and also on Facebook, I did leave all the sources on anything that I'll be talking about today, minus the mRNA versus viral vectors, because I wanted to get this lesson up first, and then I'm gonna source up on the mRNA joint. All right. So again, like the show, share the show. We're gonna have a good build. I'm about to end it on the Facebook side. So if you're on Facebook, man, I appreciate y'all. I'm gonna say Shimon Hotep, and then we finna rock out. All right. So I say the change is death. I put the link to the thing in the Facebook. So I got that out of the way. All right, bro. So I'm gonna build on this a little bit, get everything cooked up, and then we're gonna have a nice little time. By the time I get through some of the lesson, maybe we have, 50, 60, 70,000 people in here, and then it's banging on mRNA and viral vectors. We see what we actually can learn. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna throw a little mud at these vaccines. You know what I'm saying? He gonna represent for Johnson & Johnson. I'm gonna hold the feet to the fire on that. You know, he ain't got no choice. Somebody in the household got that shot.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Real.
All right, let me get my screen share, man. And it should be visible to the crowd. I'm gonna start with this video right here, and then we're gonna crank it up.
Virus may actually, to make it, and we're not intending.
Now, I ain't gonna play the article, but I'm gonna play this video. And basically, the video is only 2 minutes, but I want to get into the bill, and I'm gonna let it lead right here. Now, due to the Fair Use Act, I have the right to play this particular video. This is fair use. This is part of our discussion and our learning moments right now. So let's see what they're talking about in this, and then we're gonna get into the lesson.
to make anyone uncomfortable, but we are having a deeper look into a new study that shows coronavirus may actually attack our brains.
That's right. We first told you about that study on Tuesday. Now new at 4, I spoke with one of the Georgia State University researchers involved with this, who says it may have to do with where the virus hides in your body.
Could be right now in your brain, yes. No.
Dr. Mukesh Kumar leads a team of researchers in Georgia State University's biology department. And while it hasn't even been a full year of study, they've learned through mice, COVID may clear the lungs, but not necessarily the body.
Brain is one of the organs where virus like to hide. We know that because there's no immune response. So virus like to go to a place and hide a place where they can be, safe.
The virus can be safe in the brain and remain there until it decides to show itself again.
It's hard for a virus to hide in your lungs. It's much easier for a virus to hide in your central nervous system.
Loss of taste and smell are common in people infected with COVID-19, which affects the central nervous system. The team monitored the diverse symptoms in the mice and noted it was the brain infection that mostly caused their death. They believe this can also be true in certain human cases.
A large percentage of people who recover, they do have some sort of brain kind of dysfunction.
Researchers say our organs are well equipped to fight the infection, but once it reaches the brain.
Even if you test negative, that does not necessarily mean that you have completely cleared the virus.
Do you want to stress here that there is still a lot to study, but he did say that once the virus gets into the brain, it can cause some low-level inflammation and may even make people more susceptible to brain diseases like MS, autoimmune disease, even Parkinson's. Dr. Kumar said, please wear a mask to protect from having the virus enter your nose and go straight into your brain.
All right, so that was from the Atlanta news people, right? New study, COVID-19 can hide.
You may have many reasons for waiting to go to your doctor.
Hold up, let me get rid of that. Now, I'm gonna have to come back to the COVID tongue. What y'all just seen was an image of the COVID tongue. I need to bring that back up. Hold on 1 second. Let me make sure Brother Chavis is in the building and we're good to go. And so yeah, man, that video right there had everything to do with, hold up, there we go. They had everything to do with the brain. Now, I know y'all think, like, all right, they got something to do with the brain, Shawn, but why are you bringing up the tongue? Because you heard them say something about your sense of taste and smell, right? Okay. So this is prevalent. You see the dude talking on the screen? These are two different people. All right. So here we have COVID could be one of the signs of infection, doctors warn. A swollen or patchy tongue may be a sign of coronavirus infection. Hold on, let me mute Chavis out. You got some thing going on. All right. So researchers found that 1 in 4 coronavirus patients noticed changes to their tongue, including swelling sores, raised bumps on the surface of the tongue, indentions, and or discolored patches. A small percentage of patients also reported a burning sensation in their mouth. These findings was based on observations from 666 patients. Demonstration, beach conversation. With COVID-19 and mild or moderate pneumonia at the field hospital in Spain. The symptoms were often combined with patients losing their sense of taste, which has emerged as an increasingly common sign of the virus. It's not clear yet whether these symptoms may be widespread, since the patients included in the study had moderate cases of infection. Researchers aren't sure whether these symptoms, dubbed COVID tongue, might also affect people with severe coronavirus or those with milder cases. Now, with viral infections are known to cause symptoms in the mouth and the tongue. There hasn't been much data on this phenomenon in COVID-19 patients. That may be partly because medical experts avoid spending too much time in patients' mouths due to safety concerns about highly infectious viruses. Now, the new findings were presented in January 26, but first published in September through the British Journal of Dermatology. Okay, so not to bore you to death with this, but there's another key point here. And you know, in May, a dermatologist reported patients with red swollen toes and rashes, you know, COVID toes. And it says also long haulers or people with prolonged symptoms have also reported skin conditions, which may be a sign of inflammation caused by the virus. So these are things that we're going to start seeing among people who have been infected with COVID when we come across them, right? They might have some weird toes, weird tongue, weird looks about themselves, spawned from the infection. So let's get into a little deeper dive. And I'm gonna sum this up a little bit, but I do want to give you some jewels. Now remember, everything is in the description. Here's the case study of the 666 people. Oh, you thought I was just gonna give you a scientific article and then I bag it up with the actual data from the 666 people? Nah, that ain't how I rock. So here we go again. And I can get into the first paragraph, but that's just pretty much what was already elaborated on. But here we go. A total of 666 with COVID-19 fulfilled the inclusion criteria, either positive real-time reverse transcription polymerase chain reaction, which is the PCR, testing for SARS-CoV-2 or bilateral pneumonia, meaning an average of 55 years to 7 years. 57 years. Now, with a slight female predominance of 58% of the people, notably 47% were from Latin America. Overall, 304 people of the patients presented with one or more coccinus manifestations. Look at their tongues, yo. Look at the oral cavity findings were seen in 78 cases, which was 25%, including transient lingual papillitis, glossitis, and lateral indentions. Look at that. COVID toes, tongues, hands. Remember, look at them spots right there. So ladies, when y'all checking a man out, or fellas, when you checking a woman out, check their hands. Check their
That
toes.
tongue look nasty, bro.
Yeah, both of them do. Yeah. Yep. So this study is here for that. I don't want to get too much into it. I only want to give y'all some just a couple jewels, like I said, regarding this, because you know I want to get on down to the homework, and then I want to beat up on Chavis real quick. Man, look, like the show, share the show, hit the like button. Yeah, these are similar to this long-term stuff. Now, prior studies have found a significantly lower prevalence of COVID-19 associated with dermatosis. The higher prevalence in our study may be due to additional findings not previously described. Although oral cavity is frequently involved in viral infections, glossitis and papillitis, have not been described in patients with COVID-19. However, these differences could also be due to the conditions during hospitalization, including ventilation masks, for example. We hypothesized that the contingent risk while examining the oral cavity might have precluded a thorough physical examination in these patients. All right, now, it says our study has several limitations. Firstly, we only included patients with mild or moderate COVID-19 pneumonia and cannot provide data on skin disease in asymptomatic patients with more severe forms of COVID-19. That's key. Secondly, all patients were adults, and the prevalence of coccinus findings, I always say that wrong, may be different in children. Thirdly, as our work was performed in the 2-week period, we may have missed earlier or late contentious manifestations of COVID-19. In summary, almost half of the patients with mild or moderate COVID-19 admitted in a field hospital during a 2-week period showed coccinus findings. The oral cavity was frequently involved and deserved specific examination under appropriate circumstances to avoid contingent risk, redness and swelling in the hands and the feet. Find palm plantar cremation and reddish to brown maculas can help us to diagnose COVID-19 infection and should be routinely checked. What up, God Killer?
What up with you, bro? What to do?
No, well, you know, me and Chavis, we're about to wrestle a little bit, bro. We're about to get into after I get through with the science part of this, we're gonna debate viral vector vaccines versus mRNA vaccines for fun, because we science geeks. And that's what we're gonna get. But we were just pretty much talking about a 666 patient study regarding COVID tongue, COVID toes, and of course skin rashes from COVID. You know, these are people that were studied within a 2-week period and developed, you know, some type of symptoms later on.
The COVID tongue. I said the COVID tongue is funny.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. What you guys say about that? What you guys say about that for we know?
No, I think that's I think we need to kind of start building our case for people with the mild symptoms and asymptomatics and all that, and still developing things that could later on do harm to you or have you looking crazy out in these streets. You hear me?
Yep.
We're getting a better space. Go ahead.
All right. Next up, I'm gonna give you a series of sources, and I'm not going to elaborate too much on all the sources, but this has to deal with the brain. So let's build. All right. So the screen is shared again, and we're going to go through this article. It's called COVID-19's Effects on the Brain. Autopsy study have yet to find clear evidence of the structural viral invasion into patients' brains, pushing researchers to consider alternative explanation of how SARS-CoV-2 causes neurological symptoms. Okay, this was written by a Katarina Zimmer on the 20th of January. This is recently. She says, when epidemics and pandemics washed over humanity through ages, watchful doctors noticed that in addition to the usual, mostly respiratory ailments, the illnesses also seem to trigger neurological symptoms. One British throat specialist observed in the 1800s that influenza appeared to run up and down a nervous keyboard, stirring up disorder and pain in different parts of the body, with almost seems malicious caprice. Now, indeed, some patients during the 1889 and 92 influenza pandemic reportedly became afflicted with psychosis, paranoia, stabbing pains, and nerve damage. Similar scholars have linked the 1918 flu pandemic to Parkinson's, neuropsychiatric disorder, and broadly coinciding outbreak of sleeping sickness, encephalitis garthica, which would often arrest patients in a coma-like state, although researchers still debate whether the two are causally connected. That SARS-CoV-2, the culprit of COVID-19, is also associated with neurological symptoms isn't entirely surprising, given some advice that its close relatives MERS-CoV and SARS-CoV-1 have been associated with neurological symptoms too. But the proportion of patients developing such symptoms and their mounting collective numbers have startled some scientists. When the news broke early last year that some 36% of COVID-19 patients in Wuhan hospitals were developing impaired consciousness, seizures, sensory impairments, and neurological symptoms, that floored me, remarks Mukherjee, a neuroinfectious disease specialist at Massachusetts General Hospital. Now, entire clinics are being created specializing in subsets of patients with neurological symptoms, including one in London co-led by Patricia McNamara. Now, a neurologist at the National Hospital of Neurology and Neurosurgery. She broadly separates neurological symptoms into two diverse groups. The first, described in several reports last year, comprises acute symptoms often afflicting hospital patients with severe disease. These can manifest a confused, delirious state known as encephalopathy, or as strokes, peripheral nerve damage, and encephalitis and inflammation of the brain. The second group represents long-term symptoms usually following milder infections, ranging from headaches, fatigue, sensations or of numbness or tingling, and the cognitive difficulties to occasionally seizures and inflammation of the heart, McNary says. The people I've seen so far in this group are people who slowly improve, but it's certainly a very slow improvement. All right, I don't want to read the rest of that, but I want to get into this image right here. It says, does SARS-CoV-2 infect the human brain? All right, this is from an electron microscope, the one Polite got in his basement. Right, he found this. Okay, it's depicting the section of the ciliated cell in the COVID-19 patient's olfactory. Oh,
Hey, Shawn.
yeah. Hold on. Polite found it, huh? Yeah.
Hey, Shawn.
Yes,
Real
sir.
quick, y'all gonna debate vector? You talking about the synthetic? Yeah, like crazy. Y'all gonna talk about the vector vaccine, synthetic joints, right?
Yeah. We're gonna get into that after we get through the brain.
Huh?
Nah, I was answering question.
No, I'm saying I couldn't hear y'all gonna make the vectors. You talking about the synthetic
Yeah,
virus where they actually make a synthetic virus?
yeah, viral vector vaccine, which is Johnson & Johnson's versus the mRNA vaccine.
But wait, the vector. Hold on, ain't the vector actually synthetic virus though?
Pretty much. We're gonna get into all that though, huh? Yep.
Oh yeah. I was just wondering because I know I was reading up on it about 6-7 months ago. Yeah, listen to
Yeah.
a podcast a couple times, read some on the vectors, but I don't think they are. But all right, well, go ahead though. Go ahead.
We'll have some fun. A good learning experience.
Huh?
Now I said it's gonna be a good learning experience.
Go ahead.
So, okay, so I'm gonna skip the first two paragraphs here because this is just pretty much the author of the article just writing her perspective. And then she goes in and she talks about this next thing, which is critical here. She says, in a more recent postmortem analysis of 18 patients published in the New England Journal of Medicine, Nath and his colleagues couldn't find any evidence of the virus in the brain. However, an earlier study from researchers in Germany reported viral protein in the cranial nerves and isolated brain stem cells in 21 of 40 patients examined post-mortem. Viral protein that has somehow reached the central nervous system typically elicits an immune response, McCurgy notes, but its presence in the German study didn't correlate with the severity of neuroinflammation that team observed. Whatever viral protein is doing inside the brain, Robrook and her colleagues assert that it is indeed finding its way there. In an autopsy study published in November in Nature Neuroscience, they proposed that the virus could get into the brainstem through the nose, based on detailed autopsy analysis of 33 COVID patients. They discovered intact coronavirus particles in supporting cells of olfactory mucosis at the roof of the nose. Now, along with evidence of active replication in the tissue, perhaps viral replication destroys those cells and induces inflammation, which could help explain the frequent loss of taste and smell. That's why I brought up the COVID tongue. That's why I played the video, because they're saying that this right here could help explain the frequent loss of taste and smell. All right. At the start of SARS-CoV-2 infections, notes Charit, a neuropathologist, Frank Hepner, a co-author of the study, the virus could then work its way into the olfactory bulb, a hub for processing sensor information and via specific cranial nerves into the brain. Indeed, they observed evidence of viral RNA in these tissues, as well as the viral RNA and protein inside cells in the medulla oblongata in the brainstem, and in other structures such as the cerebellum, hinting that the virus could be using multiple routes of entry into the brain. Okay, so why am I reading this? Or why are we even talking about this? Because this could be the part, or some of us, if we contract COVID-19 and we still have problems with taste and smell, that this lingering effect could be coming from the virus hiding in your brain. Like my aunt, she lost her taste and smell. You have some people that don't lose their taste and smell. They might have other symptoms. But the people who lose their taste and smell, this thing could be lingering out and then returning later on. What am I saying? Let me not bore you on the scientists. This is just a good read. And I would advise everybody to read this. And of course, it's in the description. But let me go to NPR. This is something that I shot last week sometime. And I know you heard this before, but I'm going to play it again.
You're listening to Shortwave from NPR.
Hey everybody, Emily Kwong here with our favorite brain reporter, NPR science correspondent, John Hamilton. Hi, John.
Hi, Emily.
Hi, so you're here today to talk about how a disease that attacks the lungs can also damage the brain. I'm talking, of course, about COVID-19.
Yes, it's continuing to infect and kill record numbers of people in the U.S. In fact, I saw just in the past 7 days, around 3,000 people have died every day. And even though a vaccine is being rolled out, it looks like the number of cases will keep going up for weeks, if not months.
Yeah, and some of these cases have shown us that COVID can really do damage beyond your lungs. What can COVID-19 do to your brain?
So you may remember way back in April, I interviewed David Williams. He's in his mid-50s. He's a veterans service coordinator at the University of Central Arkansas. And he spent more than a week on a ventilator after he got COVID-19.
Yeah, I do remember David. He was on Shortwave a while back.
Yeah, and when he got off the ventilator, his return home was really pretty rough. Here's what he told me.
My cognitive thinking was off. It was hard for me to try and recall things or because like right now, it takes me a while to think about the words I need to be able to say now, but I'm slowly getting it back.
Wow. Yeah, you can hear his speech kind of struggling there. But how does the SARS-CoV-2 virus do that to somebody?
That's something that scientists are really just beginning to understand. In fact, it was just last month that a medical journal finally published a study that provided some detailed information about the brains of people with COVID-19 who died. And what the researchers found was kind of disturbing.
Today on the show, COVID-19 and the brain. It turns out there are a lot of ways the disease can affect memory, thinking, movement, even mood.
Sometimes the damage is permanent, and people whose brains are injured by COVID may even face a higher risk of developing Alzheimer's disease.
So, John, when COVID-19 first showed up in the US, it was all about whether a person would end up on a respirator, remember?
Mm-hmm.
Whether they could breathe, whether they could potentially die. And it was very focused on the respiratory system overall. So when did scientists start thinking about how the virus could hurt someone's brain?
There are two answers to that.
Okay.
Doctors realized really quickly that patients who ended up in the hospital with COVID, they often developed these blood clots that could travel to the brain and cause a stroke. They also knew right away that some patients were suffering brain damage because their lungs were so impaired they couldn't deliver enough oxygen to the brain. What scientists didn't know was whether the virus was directly affecting the brain in some way.
And were there suspicions, hints of that?
Yeah, well, neurologists got worried pretty early on. And the reason was that there were these reports coming out of China that people in the early stages of COVID-19 could even lose their sense of smell. I think you did an episode about that back in April.
We did. I learned how to say anosmia, which is the loss of smell that you described. And a few friends and family members had that symptom when they got COVID. And I even know someone whose sense of smell has not recovered, even though it's been months.
Yeah, over time, it became clear that the loss of smell was this very distinct symptom of the disease.
Yeah.
I talked to a neurologist about that. His name is Dr. Gabriel de Arauskin. He's at the Long School of Medicine at UT Health in San Antonio.
Loss of smell can occur, for instance, if you just have a very congested nose. But when it is a specific and persistent sign, it's associated with a variety of brain diseases, including Alzheimer's, dementia, Parkinson's disease, schizophrenia, and others.
Yeah, I know that some brain diseases can cause you to lose your sense of smell, but is he saying that's what's going on with these COVID-19 patients?
Not exactly. His point is that the sensory nerve cells that let us smell things are connected to the brain. So if the SARS-CoV-2 virus gets into those cells, and it does, it has a direct path to invade the brain.
Right. Not good. And I've never heard of that before. I mean, is brain damage a common side effect of viral infections like the coronavirus?
I wouldn't call it common,
Uh-huh.
but brain scientists knew that previous epidemics and pandemics had caused brain damage. The
Wow.
1918 flu, the one that killed all those people. A number of scientists think it was also responsible for an outbreak of something called encephalitis lethargica. That's this neurological problem where people develop weakness or tremor or trouble moving. Sometimes they even fall into a coma. Brain scientists also knew that other coronaviruses could get into the brain, so they were watching SARS-CoV-2 pretty closely.
Now, John, it's been a year since the coronavirus emerged, and millions of people have been infected. So, why has it taken until now to know how COVID-19, the disease, affects our brains?
Yeah, good question. One reason is that scientists haven't been able to study that many brains from people who got COVID-19 and then died.
But why is that? Because we've had hundreds of thousands of deaths just in the US. So I'd assume, not to be too grim here, but I'd assume that there were plenty of COVID-19 patient brains to look at.
There are, in theory, but they aren't that easy to get because autopsies generally aren't being done on most people who die of COVID-19. There are several reasons for that. One is, of course, hospitals have been overwhelmed. And autopsies are one way you might spread the virus. And there have been lots of shortages of personal protective equipment you need to do an autopsy safely. Plus, there's this special kind of gruesome problem when you do a brain autopsy.
Yes. Okay. A disclosure to any squeamish listeners out there, you may want to skip the next 30 seconds of this podcast because, John, you're going to tell me exactly how a brain autopsy works.
Right.
How does it work?
I learned about this from Dr. Avi Nath at the National Institute of Neurological Disorders and Stroke. So why don't I let him describe it?
In order to conduct an autopsy, you have to open the skull to get the brain. And that produces a lot of aerosol of dust from the bone itself. You need something what's called a vacuum saw so that when you cut the bone, the dust can be collected in that vacuum saw by itself. Those were not available to most people.
It turns out these saws are pretty rare, except in places that work with brain tissue that might be highly contagious. And most places just didn't have one.
Got it. Okay. But I'm guessing scientists were able to get a hold of both brain samples and the necessary tools to safely look at these brains.
Yeah, they have. Dr. Nath was one of the authors of a study that looked at 19 brains taken from people who died shortly after they got COVID-19. And his team saw a lot of damage. And what he told me was that they found something that could help explain that damage.
What we found was that the very small blood vessels in the brain were leaking. And it wasn't evenly. You would find a small blood vessel here and a small blood vessel there. So you get these small punctate, is the word that we often use to say small foci or punctate areas of pathology in these small blood vessels.
Punctate. What does that mean, John?
Yeah, I had to look it up. It just means tiny punctures. What Nath is saying is it looks like the infection can lead to brain damage by causing these tiny blood vessels to get punctured and leak. It's like having a bunch of little strokes happening all over the brain. There's bleeding, there's inflammation, all kinds of bad stuff going on. But Nath told me one thing they didn't find in these areas was the coronavirus itself. So it may be that the problem isn't that the virus is killing cells directly, but that there's a sort of collateral damage when our immune system tries to protect us from the virus.
Yeah, and what you're saying too is that COVID-19 overall is just bad for our bodies and potentially our brains.
Yeah, definitely one more reason to wear a mask.
Absolutely. And do all the things to keep from getting it. But John, okay, for people who get really bad COVID-19, that affects their brain. What is that even like? How does it change them?
We've already talked about people who have trouble remembering things or making plans. Then there are people who develop depression or mood problems. And it turns out the brain is also really important for maintaining a lot of bodily functions. Nath told me about some COVID-19 patients who are having trouble with those.
They complain of heart racing. When they stand up, they get quite dizzy. They can have, urinary problems or gastrointestinal problems.
These are the so-called autonomic problems. And just to complete the list, certain kinds of brain damage can make you feel this extreme fatigue.
Wow, that's really tough. And how long do all of these consequences last?
Not clear. Some people get better in weeks. Some have been recovering for months and are still struggling with brain problems. And sadly, most of the recovery from brain damage happens within a year or so. So for some people, these problems are probably here to stay. And now there's a new thing. Neurologists are worried that even people who recover may face a higher risk of getting Alzheimer's disease years from now. I talked to Heather Snyder. She's in charge of scientific operations at the Alzheimer's Association. And she told me they are really concerned about the immune system's reaction to the virus and about those leaky blood vessels.
We know that those are important in Alzheimer's disease, and we're seeing them play a key role here in COVID-19 and what that might mean in later life. We need to be asking that question now.
Yeah, the phrase "more research is needed" comes to mind.
Yeah, it does. So the Alzheimer's Association is actually teaming up with brain researchers in more than 30 countries to start doing that research.
Okay. John, I'm wondering, do you have any other good news for our brains to absorb when it comes to this virus?
Well, there's some. Of course, the vaccines are rolling out now, and they protect the brain as well as your body from COVID-19. And people who have brain problems from COVID-19 do tend to get better. You remember David Williams, that guy who spent 8 days on a ventilator?
Yeah. How's he doing now?
Well, I was curious about that myself, so I called him up.
Hey, Mr. Hamilton. I'm all righty.
And he told me he doesn't need an oxygen mask anymore. He's been able to get back to work part-time. And I could tell he wasn't struggling as hard to find the next word in a sentence, nearly the way he was. But Williams told me that his brain, it still hasn't fully recovered.
It's not as bad as it was when I was speaking to you back in April. But yeah, I still have a few cognitive issues.
Williams told me it's really hard now for him to remember the names of students he works with at the university. And he's got other problems. His lungs are scarred, his joints ache, he feels tired a lot, he can't sleep. He says COVID-19 has done more damage to his body and brain than all his time as a Marine fighting in Afghanistan.
You go to war and, you dodge millions of bullets, but you come back and one bug takes you out, I was like, no, I don't want that. I don't want to go out like this.
I think that's what a lot of people forget about this virus. It's not a binary where you're either in a high-risk group and could die or you're fine. It's more complicated than that.
Exactly. I mean, to me, David Williams is a reminder that surviving COVID-19 is not the same as fully recovering from it. And of course, most people don't get as sick as he did, but tens of millions of people have been infected just in the US. So that means long after the pandemic is over, there will probably be a lot of people like David whose brains still aren't working right.
Well, David Williams, we wish you well in your recovery. John, thank you for following up with him and so much for bringing us this information and coming on the show.
All right, so that's that on there from John. Now, basically what you heard in that whole interview was that the after effects of COVID-19 and how it is affecting the brain. The rest of this is redundant information and sources that I compiled to actually expand on, backing up John and all the other scientists regarding this neurological problem of COVID-19 hiding in the brain. Now, there's some research that is also done on HIV currently hiding in the brain. And what that research that's being designed by scientists to draw out HIV in the brain is once they draw it out, they then zap it out of the brain, which would also be a relief to a patient. So there's research on how to get potentially the threat of COVID-19, if it is as sneaky as HIV, hide in their brain, how to draw it out, expose it, and eliminate it from being a threat, causing neurological issues and problems for people. So there's research that is taking place. Now, a lot of you may not be aware that, however, You know what I'm saying? You can go and you can actually research that data to deal with that. Now, here's a Nature Neuroscience article that was mentioned in the Sciences article, which goes into more detail. And this is the reason why I didn't want to elaborate on each article, is because I would really be redundant. And I can go ahead and give you the results of that actual study, but we already pretty much know the actual results because we read them twice regarding the 666 people. So we also have the neural invasion and encephalitis following intranasal inoculation of SARS-CoV-2 in K18 ACE2 mice. This is a study that's actually done on mice. Yep, you already know the deal and the drill. So I'm not going to read you the abstract. I'm not going to pull a divine and read the abstract like if it's actual the conclusion, but they did this study because of what you've seen in the other video that talked about, the other article talked about, you know, the research regarding how, you know, mice were dying from a neurological problem and how it was affecting. So if you wanted to get more into that actual study with the mice that actually were dying from the effects of the brain from COVID-19, I give you this. I give you this. See results. 6-week-old K18 ACE2 mice. If you know anything about what this is basically telling you that, you know, they made these mice. They kind of cloned them and then they infected them with SARS-CoV-2, and then they started doing all their research to see what's going on. Anyway, the mice of both sexes were infected with intranasal with PBS or 10.5 PFU of SARS-CoV-2. See, they infected them with the virus. All right. The mock infected mice remained healthy throughout the observation period. Virus infection resulted in 100% mortality by day 6. Infected mice experienced significant weight loss on days 4 through 6 after infection compared to the mock infected group. Starting on day 4, all infected animals began to show signs of disease, such as lethargy, slow movement, and labored breathing. Neurological symptoms such as hunchback posture, ruffled fur tremors, and ataxic gait were also observed in infected mice on days 5 and 6 after infection. Here's your survival rate. Don't look too hot, and everything else. So this elaborates on the study regarding the actual mice that was in Article 1. That gives you some work there. Of course, we have the Lancet dealing with the neurological studies in patients with COVID-19. This is a Germany study done for postmortem case series. All right. So, of course, I ain't going to beat you upside the head with all of this. We can just get straight to the results. So from the 110 patients with diagnosis of suspected SARS-CoV-2 infection who were autopsied between March 13th and April 24th, 2020, 43, which is 39%, with positive QRT-PCR tests for SARS-CoV-2 and adequate samples available were included in the study. The autopsy finding excluded the neuropathological analysis of 37, which is 87% of these patients were previously reported in a separate report on of the first 80 consecutive individuals who died of SARS-CoV-2 infection in Hamburg, Germany. The remaining 14% cases have not been previously reported. 93% of the patients had adequate samples for detection of SARS-CoV-2 immunohistochemistry, and 27 patients, which was 63%, had samples available for the detection of SARS-CoV-2 QRT-PCR. Data of SARS-CoV-2 RNA in the brain tissue from 22 of the cases have been reported previously. So there's a huge number of people in Germany reporting issues, right, of SARS-CoV-2 in the brain. That's the gist of this, okay? So they are doing work. They are looking for cases. They are trying to identify it. They are linking it to a loss of taste and smell. All right. So they continue to look for more evidence to substantiate everything. But I'm just letting you know that there's more studies on the way. Like they said, it's not enough, but there's more studies on the way regarding COVID-19 and the brain. All right. So to back up everything else you hear, we have medical dialogues. They, references the NIH researchers find brain damage in COVID-19 patients. This is just another article to beat you upside the head. Not going to read it. Of course, we got the New England Journal of Medicine. Here, there's the New England Journal of Medicine, which is another source. So we really don't have to deal with the article. We can go directly to this particular source, and we can get into the New England Journal of Medicine. As you can see, the brain studies are over here in figure 1, and we can understand that that study is saying everything else that the other studies have been saying, and they are finding COVID-19 in the brain. All right, so you're asymptomatic behind and got infected and didn't have any other causes, and then next thing you know, it's in the brain. All right, so this is the NIH launches a database to track. So I'm letting you know right now that National Institute of Health has launched databases to track neurological symptoms associated with COVID-19. This is good news for us all, because the more data they're able to obtain from neurological symptoms, the more it can also help us understand COVID-19 and what it is doing to the brain, among other things. I said that we need to draw up a case 4. We're drawing up a case 4. So now your lungs, your brain, your eye, all the things I've already been mentioning in several shows before, your liver, your kidneys, you know what I'm saying, are being affected. You asymptomatic people who lose your sense of taste and smell, you still can have the vid hiding in your brain. There's a huge percentage of people that will have it still hiding in the brain, which could linger in the future and cause long-term effects down the line. And that vid can come out from hiding in the brain and go on back down to where it want to chill at. We don't know. But studies are on the way. And look what it says right here. This is what I want to leave y'all with, the NIH. It says there's an urgent need to understand COVID-19 related neurological problems, which not uncommonly include headaches, fatigue, cognitive difficulty, stroke, pain, sleep disorders, as well as some very rare complications of serious infection. There's a lot that we don't know about COVID-19 still, even after the first year, and we're going to continue to learn. Harvard study, all right, the Harvard Gazette. Early details of damage in COVID-19 brain. See, I didn't want to be redundant. I'm just letting you know how it's going down. And I didn't pull this up for a particular reason, because it's going to be as redundant as all the other articles. So all of these things are in the description of the video. For anyone interested in knowing more, I don't want to bore you with the brain, but COVID-19 is hiding out in your brain, and you have no idea, because you smoking that good, and you know what I'm saying? It's kind of easing the brain, and it's just sitting there getting high with you. Questions, comments, concerns before, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so that's all for just the virus alone, right? So that has nothing to do with the vaccine at all, right?
Nothing to do with the vaccine. This is virus related.
Okay, so that's a lot of stuff to be concerned about, just solely the virus, if people is paying attention, while people are so focused on allergic reactions and minor reactions from the vaccine. There's a lot of stuff going on with the virus that's, if you weigh that, you'll end up more on the vaccine side if you being objective.
Yeah,
that's my take on it.
I agree. What about you? I know you might be busy in the middle or whatever, but I don't know if you can speak, but anything you want to say regarding the brain? Guess not. All right. So before we get into the main event, man, I need y'all, man. We supposed to have a whole bunch of people in here, man. Like this show, share this show. We about to get it in, man. You know what I'm saying? We got brother Javis in the building. I'm gonna let him build first on viral vectors, kind of give him a spiel on that, and then I'm gonna try to back him up with some information. And then I am going to we'll rehash what mRNA vaccines are, which we should already know. So I am going to have supportive data. Okay, we both had this source. All right, I am going to have supportive data for him, and then I'm gonna have supportive data for the other side, and we're going to weigh the pros and cons. We're going to uncover some pros and cons in this conversation. This is probably going to be a interesting topic because we're going to be able to. We're making an argument for vaccines, yes, but we're going to get into a specific article written, in the conversation regarding the adenoviruses to RNA, and then the pros and cons of different COVID vaccine technologies. And we're going to see which one of those will sit well with you, but also give you a viable option. All right. You won't hear neither one of us tearing into one of the other vaccines, because we know right now vaccines save lives. As a matter of fact, as of today, since 2000, 37 million children have been saved by vaccines. You can Google that. You can look that up.
Killed? Not killed? They ain't been exterminated by the vaccines? They've been saved, you saying?
37 million children have been saved by vaccines since 2000.
No. With a preventative. Oh, man.
Yeah. So which one of these you want me to get into first, bro? You want me to go
Well, we can start off with the one dose, the single dose. But first I wanted to let's get into what is an adenovirus so we can understand whether it's a synthetic virus or is it just another virus. Okay. I don't have my laptop. I'm on my phone. If I get on my phone,
I got you. Right here from the Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance. It says right here on the screen what are viral vector-based vaccines and how could they be used against COVID-19. Got a little video too that we actually can play due to the Fair Use Act, which also help elaborate on your point. But it says all vaccines work by exposing the body to molecules from the target pathogen to trigger an immune response. The method of exposure varies. Here's how viral vector-based vaccines work. So let's see what they're saying right here. Let's see if you agree with what they say. All right.
Mm-hmm.
All COVID-19 vaccines being developed aim to produce immunity to the SARS-CoV-2 virus by stimulating an immune response to an antigen, usually the characteristic spike protein found on the surface of the virus. Some traditional vaccines achieve this by modifying the virus to weaken or disable it, so that when introduced to the body, an immune response can be generated to the antigen, without the virus causing disease. When the immune system comes into contact with the weakened virus, its defenses, such as antibodies and T cells, attack the virus or infected cells. In the process, specialized memory cells take note of the specific antigen and prime the immune system to produce cells and antibodies that will quickly target these proteins. So the next time that person is exposed to the same virus, the immune system is ready to fight it off. Instead of using the whole virus, another way to trigger immunity involves using just fragments of it, like the spike proteins. These subunit vaccines have the advantage of being relatively easy and cheap to produce, and are incapable of causing disease because these fragments are not able to infect host cells. However, they are less likely to be recognized by immune cells as attacking infected cells, which means they may trigger a weaker immune response. Because of this, subunit vaccines often include chemical agents called adjuvants, which are designed to stimulate a stronger immune response. And booster shots may also be required. Not all vaccines are designed to introduce antigens to the body. Some work by using cells in a patient's body to produce the antigens themselves. Examples include viral vector vaccines and mRNA vaccines. In both cases, the goal is to get a short fragment of genetic code taken from the target pathogen, in this case the SARS-CoV-2 virus that causes COVID-19, into the patient's cells. By hijacking the cellular mechanisms, these kinds of vaccines mimic the way viruses normally reproduce during natural infection. But rather than creating copies of the virus, the cells only produce large amounts of antigen that then usually trigger a strong immune response. Viral vector vaccines achieve this by inserting the genetic code for the antigen into a harmless virus, which effectively acts like a delivery system to get the code into the cells without causing disease. Vector-based vaccines can be complex to develop, but they can trigger strong immune responses without the need for adjuvants. And in theory, one type of vector can be used to deliver code for a range of different antigens, which can speed up vaccine development. Nucleic acid vaccines, like mRNA and DNA vaccines, also involve inserting genetic code into cells to produce antigens. But instead of using viruses to deliver the code, these vaccines take a more direct approach that involves inserting the code directly into cells, either by attaching it to a molecule or by forcing it into cells using a gene gun. These vaccines can be quick and cheap to develop, but they are a relatively new technology. With hundreds of COVID-19 vaccines now in development, it's likely that a mixture of different approaches will be needed in order to stop the global spread of this coronavirus and end the pandemic.
All right.
All COVID-19 vaccines.
My bad. So, in short and skinny, viral vector-based vaccines differ from most conventional vaccines. So this is not like most conventional vaccines in that they don't actually contain antigens, but rather use the body's own cells to produce them. They do this by using a modified virus, the vector, to deliver genetic code for antigen. In the case of COVID-19, spike proteins found on the surface of the virus in the human cells, by infecting cells and instructing them to make large amounts of antigen, which then trigger an immune response. The vaccine mimics what happens during a natural infection with certain pathogens, especially viruses. This has the advantage of triggering a strong cellular immune response by T cells, as well as the production of antibodies by B cells. An example of a viral vector vaccine is the RVSV Zerbo vaccine against Ebola. So there is a viral vector vaccine and an mRNA vaccine for Ebola. Here goes the advantages and disadvantages of viral vector-based vaccines. As well-established technology, strong immune response. Immune response involves B and T cells. Previous exposure to vector could reduce effectiveness and relatively complex to manufacture. So before we get down to this other part of this stuff right here, you want to go ahead and transition into your spiel? You agree with what this says so far?
Yes, sir. Because that's exactly what we are looking at. That's exactly what Johnson and Johnson's vaccine is. What I want us to do is get into the adenovirus. Like you can go on Wikipedia and pull that up so we can see what that is, because that's what we're gonna be dealing with.
I got something on adeno right here, but this is just going to get into other things. So let me bring up the adeno and give it to you the way that you want it distributed.
It's just to let people know what exactly is an adenovirus. Is it something that they just making up, or is it something that we've been dealing with? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. All right, I'm trying to make sure my other ones don't get into it either. All right, so we're going to go with a clear understanding, but we're going to use the CDC. And we'll get here. It says adenoviruses are common viruses that cause a range of illnesses. They can cause cold-like symptoms, fever, sore throat, bronchitis, pneumonia, diarrhea, and pink eye. You can get an adeno infection at any age. People with weakened immune systems or existing respiratory or cardiac diseases are more likely than others to get very sick from an adenovirus. And then it gives you common ways. Close personal contact, such as touching or shaking hands, the air by coughing and sneezing, touching objects or surfaces with adenoviruses on them, then touching your mouth, nose, or eyes. They got a fact check sheet for adenoviruses right here if anybody wants to see it. If you want me to pull it up, let me know.
All right, so now we see what that is. It's a regular virus. It's very similar to the other cold virus, to my understanding, and it is the rhinovirus, and then we got the corona cold virus, but it's a whole separate virus. It's not something that they whipped up. The most they did, I'm gonna read from the informed consent packet. It says the AD 26.
Hold on. Let me stop. Let me put you on the screen. Can you show
so people can see I'm not.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't want to make nothing.
Not making up nothing. Let me I'm my shit on charge. I'll turn the camera around. Man. So this is what I'm reading from. Okay. Gonna go there. I can't flip it right now.
We got you.
Let's see where I can. I can't try to. I'm just gonna read it though.
You're reading from the Johnson and Johnson paperwork, right? From the trials.
I'm reading from the Johnson and Johnson informed consent. Let me tell you. Let me read the title. Informed consent form addendum regarding emergency use authorized. Emergency use authorized or licensed COVID-19 vaccine. The title: a randomized.
Hold on. All right, so look on my screen real quick. Does it look like this? Are you reading from the side effects?
Right now, I'm just reading.
Okay,
so the front page. I'm going to read the study vaccine and other medications. I'm going to read from what is the AD26-CoV-2S vaccine.
Okay, I'm trying to see.
The AD26. You can find it. I think it's like, see, the page number on here is 13.
Okay, the actual
on this packet is 13, because you might have, it might be a different one, it might be the same, but all of it is official.
No, that other one wasn't all of that. So this one says something, but what is? Hold on,
turn this goddamn camera.
Okay, what are these studies being done? These studies are being done to test the Janssen's COVID-19 vaccine candidate. Does it say that?
On what page? On the front?
About our Ensemble study.
I say. Like I'm reading from where it's a study vaccine / other medications on page 13.
Okay, go ahead and read, and I'm gonna just try to find it. See if I can find it from
All right. It says, what is the AD26-CoV-2S vaccine? AD26-CoV-2S vaccine is an investigational with quotation marks, which means it is not approved for use by the United States Food and Drug Administration or any regulatory authority in any country. Therefore, it can only be used in a research study such as this one. The AD26-CoV-2S vaccine is made from a type of common cold virus called the adenovirus, which we just went over and we looked at. The adenovirus used to make this vaccine is harmless. I'm going to stress that. It's harmless. Why is it harmless? It's harmless to people because it has been weakened so it cannot replicate and cause a cold. We watch, like I was saying earlier, we watch the virology lectures by Vincent. He breaks this down even better. So if you want to learn more about that, that would be a good place to get that in. But continuing, it says the AD26-CoV-2S vaccine includes genetic material from the SARS-CoV-2 virus. When a study vaccine is injected into your body, the genetic material from the SARS-CoV-2 gets translated. In quotation marks, you have to deal with that in virology as well, dealing with translation and the genetics of the virus to you, but it's translated to produce so-called spike proteins, which are small bits of protein specific to what? The SARS-CoV-2. Our bodies then make an immune response against these spike proteins. This immune response is our body's way of fighting the infection. You cannot, I'm going to say it again, you cannot get COVID-19 from this study vaccine. This is the same vaccine that they are giving in the single dose. This one that I'm reading from is for the double dose. It's the same exact vaccine. It just, I'm assuming they probably are cutting down the potency in order to split it. But right now we're dealing with the single dose. So on the next page, we go to the side effects, and it's talking about the Ebola and the RSV. Is like vaccines similar to the AD26-CoV-2S, that is the AD26-based vaccines, have been given to participants in studies designed to prevent RSV, respiratory I don't know if it's central virus, HIV, human immunodeficiency virus infections, Ebola, filovirus, Zika virus, and human papillomavirus and malaria.
Hold on, stop right there. I caught you. I caught where you are.
You got me.
Hold on. Look at my screen and tell me this ain't what you just said. Vaccine similar to AD26.CoV2.S have been given to participants in study designed to prevent RSV, HIV, Ebola, Zika virus, HPV, and malaria.
That's right.
Okay, now it says as of 04.
Yep, it says as of 4 September 2020, approximately 114,000 participants were vaccinated with AD26-based vaccines in ongoing studies, including an ongoing government-led immunization campaign in Rwanda, the UMRURINZI Ebola vaccine program campaign. And then it goes into dealing with the shot, what you what you can possibly experience, which would be pain, tenderness, redness.
Risk of side effects.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Even just the basic, the same side effects as all the other vaccines is pain, tenderness, redness at the injection site, headaches, chills, joint pain, muscle pain, tiredness, generally not feeling well, nausea, fever, and have been seen with these study vaccines. These reactions usually start within 1 to 2 days after the injection, and most other reactions get better within 1 to 3 days.
All right. It
It
also says rarely people may have more side effects that limit their normal activities and make them go to the doctor. Then they got. I like this part of what they say in this short doc. The short doc says in first human study and phase 2 study use the following, and it says you could have an allergic reaction to a vaccine, including rash, hives, difficulty breathing. Some allergic reactions can be life-threatening. The study staff will watch you for at least 60 minutes. This is who they're telling this to. They're telling this to the phase 2 crew and the phase 3 crew.
Correct. Once again, this is an informed consent packet. So you know everything before they stick it in your arm. They make you literally, because the first time I did it with the Moderna study, you have to sit there for however long it takes you to read and educate yourself before you let them stick anything in you or even let them take your blood. So there's that. They don't just let anybody in no clinical study. There's a whole pre-screening process. So there's that as well. But
what about what does it say about the females who are participants?
What page is that?
I
ain't read
know.
this whole.
I got the short version. It should say something about men, and then it should say something about women. Female participants who cannot get pregnant, and then female participants who can get pregnant.
Antibodies, pregnancies, risk of positive antibodies. That was on the same page?
Nah, you probably got some. This one only 4 pages. You got that big old packet.
Yeah, my shit 34. There's all kind of extra stuff that she got to sign and stuff too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it basically says if you're postmenopausal for at least 2 years or have had a hysterectomy or bilateral tubal ligation clip or surgical removal of both ovaries, you cannot get pregnant. Therefore, the section below does not apply to you. It says if you are female and can get pregnant, meaning that you are neither menopausal for 2 years or surgical sterile and sexually active, you must avoid getting pregnant in order to take part in this study. So in order to even be a part of the study, you gonna have to strap up. You'll be required.
There's a lot of stuff you gotta do.
Yeah, you gotta agree to use an approved method of birth control as described below prior to the study vaccination and continuing for 3 months after the administration of the study vaccine. In addition, you will need to have a negative pregnancy test before vaccination. All right, and then they give you the birth control measures, and they talk about the specifics, and then they do the same thing with men. And it's very short with men. It's more pertaining to women. It's more information regarding women because of the, the risk there. But this says vaccine specific informed consent form, ICF risk language. Now, where you want to go with your info?
Now we can talk about these numbers now. You know what I'm saying? Now we can get into this single dose and this double dose. We're gonna, as far as you can pull up that what's called the single dose trial.
I got it on the screen. Johnson & Johnson announces single shot Janssen COVID-19 vaccine candidate met prior endpoints in interim analysis of its phase 3 Ensemble trial. So go ahead. Tell these people what this dang on one-shot vaccine you so excited about.
The one shot it's up there. It's giving you enough of a response to essentially compete, not fully, but partially with these mRNA vaccines. That's just one shot. You know what I'm saying? That's just a single dose. And based on the data, we know that 50% was their goal. So we already beat the goal 20-something percent. Even though we understand, yes, Moderna, Pfizer, they up there, they 90. This joint here is 70. In certain areas, you know, if we overall add it together, but in other areas, it's higher.
Let's not do that. Let's read the data. Don't give me
Read
something.
it, because we need to be specific. You keep on throwing the 77 out there, so they need to see the other numbers too. How we get to the 77?
Here, I don't see 77. What I see, vaccine candidate, 72% of effective in the U.S. and 66% effective overall at preventing moderate to severe COVID-19 28 days after vaccination.
That's one shot.
Let me continue. 85% effective overall in preventing severe disease and demonstrated complete protection against COVID-19 related hospitalization. Death as day 28.
That's a complete, right? Complete.
They didn't say no complete.
It said complete. I heard you read the word. It gave you complete. Read that part again.
This has to deal with preventing severe disease and demonstrating
specifically
against COVID-19 related hospitalization and death.
Right.
That's what the complete protection is against. Hospitalization against hospitalization and death. Can we continue?
That's good.
Can we continue?
Sir. Yes, sir. That's good. I just want to make sure we understood that part.
Don't try to put this off.
I'm not fabricating. I understand that. I just wanted to make sure that we understood specifically as far as hospitalizations and death is competing. Now, it may lack in other areas, but as far as the main areas that we are concerned about, if you just need a shot and you can't get that Moderna, you can't get the Pfizer, you will be okay with that one shot for right now, because they doing. We ain't gonna get into the 2 dose yet, but what we're reading right now is just off of one shot. We go back and see what you get from the one shot of Moderna. What kind of what are we looking at?
Let me continue. All right. We're talking 95%, and you over here talking about you getting happy about 72 to 66%. All right. It says the other bullet point says protection against severe disease across geography, ages, and multiple virus variants, including the SARS-CoV-2 variant from the B1351 lineage, which is observed in South Africa. It's very important that they included that in the study. So it says it's a single shot compatible with standard vaccine distribution channels, provides important tool in pandemic setting. So Newark, Brunswick, New Jersey on the 29th of 2021. Johnson & Johnson today announced top-line efficacy and safety data for phase 3 trial, Ensemble clinical trial, demonstrating that investigational single-dose COVID-19 vaccine and development of Janssen's pharmaceutical companies met all primary and key secondary endpoints. The top-line safety and efficacy data are based on a study of 43,783 participants accruing 468 symptomatic cases of COVID-19. All right. So we're saying 468 people had caught the disease.
Positive. They had PCR. When they do that, that's when they say symptomatic. I think that's specifically meaning that they tested positive PCR wise for them to confirm that. Because the other dude, I remember on post was talking about symptomatic, like the questionable ones. If you don't got no PCR confirmed data, you can't just necessarily. That's why they separate that. But go ahead.
Yeah. I'm letting this man sauce it up right now, y'all. So the phase 3 Ensemble study is designed to evaluate the efficacy and safety of Janssen COVID-19 vaccine candidate in protecting moderate to severe COVID-19 with co-primary endpoints 14 days and 28 days following the vaccination. Among all participants, different geographies and including those infected with emerging viral variant, Janssen COVID-19 vaccine candidate was 66% effective overall in preventing moderate to severe COVID-19 28 days after vaccination. So that's problem number one.
It's a problem? Wait a minute.
It's
I don't
only
like how you framed that. They didn't say it was a problem.
We're going to get into that. No. We're going to get into that. We're going to get into your 66% effective overall in preventing moderate to severe COVID-19.
Right. But let's keep in mind, what's the goal? What the goal is 50. That's what everybody would have been okay with. I know you don't. I know you don't want to deal with that. I know you don't.
We raised the bar.
You did. Now, I'm not knocking it.
So you want to tell us poor people that this 66% is gonna be cool when these other people, these first people, they getting that 95.
Hey, what it all depends on anyway is whether you doing what you're supposed to be doing anyway. You need to be masking up, staying out people's face, and getting the best out that 66, whatever it is, you getting the best out of that. It's over 50. That's the goal. Never forget that.
Let me continue because he's just gonna keep on, So he's excited now. That's the excitement number one, 66. Now the onset of protection was observed as early as day 14. The level of protection against moderate to severe COVID-19 infection was 72% in the United States, 66% in Latin America, 57% in South Africa. 28-day post-vaccination. This is why they know if they're effective against the South Africa variant, because they got people in South Africa actually taking the vaccine or a part of the actual trial. Now, what we want to know is that prevention and severe disease protection is higher. Okay, it says the vaccine candidate was 85% effective in preventing severe disease across all regions studied after 28 days. This is 28 days after vaccinations in all adults 18 years and older. Okay. And hold on now. Here we go. Efficacy in severe disease increased over time with no cases in vaccinated participants reported after day 49. All right. So let's get into some more. So we know now that it's 66% after those 28 days of preventing severe to moderate COVID-19. It's 85% from preventing severe disease and protection against COVID-19 after 28 days. So the first 14 days, between 14 and 28 days, is 66%. So it takes a whole nother 2 weeks to get to 85% prevention of severe disease and protection. Y'all see how they
gotta keep the mask on. That's why you gotta keep the mask on. Social distance. Wash your hands.
This a one shot. One shot. All right. So
yes, sir.
Let's get into the nicks and crannies. Now, remember, all the data is not available to us yet. This is only preliminary data that we're reading directly from Johnson & Johnson. Now, what about the temperature of the vaccine? Does it have to be stored in a cool temperature?
I ain't gonna lie to you.
Okay. So it says Janssen vaccine candidate access and distribution to All right. It says, in addition, the Janssen vaccine candidate is compatible with standard vaccine distribution channels. If authorized, Janssen single-dose vaccine candidate is estimated to remain stable for 2 years at -20 degrees Celsius to -4 Fahrenheit, at least 3 months of which can be at temperatures 2 to 8 degrees Celsius, which is 36 degrees Fahrenheit or 46 degrees Fahrenheit. The company will ship the vaccine using the same cold chain technologies it uses today to transport other innovative medicines. Okay, so now we know what the temperature is like. So how was this study designed? The phase 3 Ensemble study is a randomized, double-blind, placebo-controlled clinical trial designed to evaluate the safety and efficacy of a single-dose vaccine versus a placebo in adults 18 years or older. Now, the Ensemble study was designed to evaluate the safety and efficacy of the Janssen vaccine candidate in protecting against both moderate and severe COVID-19 disease, with assessment of efficacy as of day 14 and as of 28 day as co-primary endpoints. All right. Now, we know about the demographics. You know, they got South America, they got South Africa. You know what I'm saying? They got South American and people involved. They got United States. 45% of the participants was females, 55 was males. All right. 59% of the testants were white, Caucasian, 45 Hispanic or Latino, 19% Black or African American, 9% Native American, 3% Asian. In the United States, 74% are white, Caucasian, 15 Hispanic, 13 Black American, 6 Asian, 1% Native American. That's a dang shame.
It is real tough.
Now, vaccine technology we're already familiar with. We just went through a whole spiel of how this is actually set up. Okay. Now, what is not on this one is, like I said, when we start getting to the adverse effects and specifically we get into how people have been reacting. Did Bell's palsy appear? You know, did we have any anaphylactic reactions? Did we have, what were the other side effects? Were they similar to Moderna or Pfizer? This is still incomplete information that we have as of right now. But so far, we have Brother Chavis over here with his chest out and touting this 60% after 14 days, 85% on that after 28 days. So
that's right.
Do you want to continue, brother?
I mean,
you want to go to?
We can go to the double dose. You know what I'm saying? You could pull that one up and read that one and see what's going on there. Is we getting the same type of action? And we don't have no data.
Nah, we ain't got no data, so we ain't gotta go too far on that. We ain't got no data, so no sense in going double dose. We sticking to your one shot. Do you want to go?
You got the data. You got some phase 2 and phase 1. You got that data. You just don't got full phase 3 data.
I don't want to deal with it until we get the data.
That's cool with me. I'm dealing with it. I got your double producing them antibodies. You know what I'm saying?
I got a double dose over here, right here. I got your phase 1/2A trial with the double dose. I got it right here on the screen. I got your New England Journal. I got your crap right here.
Oh, it's crap now.
I got the
New England Journal now is crap. When it got Johnson.
I'm talking about the article. I'm talking about the crappy article that's gonna be retracted. That's what I got on the screen.
Go read that crap. Let me see what that crap saying over there.
He gonna admit it, y'all. It's a multi-center placebo-controlled phase 1 and 2A trial. We randomly assign healthy adults between 18 and 55 and those 65 years of age and older to receive the 8026.cov2S vaccine at a dose of 5 times 1010 viral particles, low dose of 1 times 1011 viral particles, high dose per millimeter, or placebo in a single dose or 2-dose schedule. Long-term data comparing a single-dose regime with a 2-dose regime are being collected in a cohort 2. Those results are not reported here. The primary endpoints were safety and reactogenicity of each dose schedule. All right, so we on to the same thing. However, we just don't have all the data, and we can go to clinical trials and refer to this reference number here to get a little bit more information and insight on it. So we just really can't conclude everything that we want to conclude on. We just know that there's currently a test going on of 1,045 participants, and these are the dates, but it could be way more by now. And because I don't know how many people are a part of the actual study. And this ain't gonna give us everything that we need to know. Let's just give us some other incentivized information. So you got, some little bull crap results right here, which we already talked about a little bit. And I don't want to too much bore y'all with this man stuff. So I'm gonna go on and meet him halfway with his little Johnson & Johnson 66%. 60%.
Hey, it's producing. It's producing. We got some what they say immunogenicity. Immunogenicity. That's what we got. We got some action. We ain't out here. We a little bit better than China. You know what I'm saying? And we don't got no actual virus in there, so it's okay.
Well, Rasta man
you
says,
can't get that, Moderna. You can settle. You can't
Rasta man.
Hold up, vaccines.
Hold up, Tavis. Rasta man. We're using 66% because it's the average of all the countries. But in America, it shows 72%. But that might be skewed. You know what I'm saying? But in all the countries together, we get 66%. Between that 14 to 28 day. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna give him a 1-dose COVID-19 vaccine offers solid protection against severe disease. All right. So published in Science Mag, they gonna give it to him a little bit. Listen to what they say. For the first time, a single-dose COVID-19 vaccine has been shown to deliver solid protection against severe disease and death. The vaccine made by Johnson & Johnson had 85% efficacy against COVID-19 related fatalities or severe symptoms in all age groups, regardless of the person or the underlying medical conditions, the company announced today. Its efficacy against mild cases and disease was lower and dropped to 57% in South Africa, where a viral variant that can dodge it dominates. But when it came to severe disease, the vaccine appeared equally effective regarding the virus strand. The result many vaccine experts held. Now, in a quote, if you can prevent severe disease in high percentage of individuals, that will alleviate so much of the stress and human suffering and death in the pandemic, Fauci said. At a telephone press conference in the morning. Nahid Badeli, an infectious disease physician who is medical director of the Special Pathogens Unit at Boston Medical Center, added that a single-dose vaccine could be a boon for people living in remote places and those who might have difficulty getting a second dose. Given the data against mild disease, someone is going to say that Johnson & Johnson results are disappointing. And here I am. They're disappointing. Now, the efficacy, the 85% efficacy against severe disease everywhere in a multi-country trial rose to 100% protection when only considering deaths of COVID-19 cases that required hospitalization. That's cool, because you don't want anyone to die. And if the vaccine is preventing death and severe infection, then that's cool. That means, you have to deal with some little severe stuff. We got to see how that worked out, along the way. But that's all I'm going to give him out of this particular article, because it goes into the rest of what Johnson & Johnson says, and it doesn't give us everything that we need to know as far as the trials. We'll come back and we'll convene on the real data when we talk about these adverse effects and these allergic reactions that them 44,000 people are having right now that took the Johnson & Johnson. Now, that's pseudo. I ain't gonna say that.
How I say this nigga lying? Oh, that boy lying.
Now, I ain't gonna read this because this is basically the viral vector thing for the CDC. But I wanted to get into the pros and cons of different COVID-19 vaccines and technology. And let's see what we got going on here. So, WHO lists about 180 COVID-19 vaccines being developed around the world. Each aims at use a slightly different approach to prepare your immune system to recognize and fight SARS-CoV-2, the virus that causes COVID-19. However, we can group the technologies into 5 main types. Some technology is tried and trusted. Some technologies has never been used in commercial vaccines for humans. As we outline a recent paper, each technology has its pros and cons. So let's get into the pros and cons. So DNA RNA-based vaccines now use fragments of genetic material made in the lab. These fragments code for a part of the virus, such as its spike protein. After the vaccine is injected, the body uses instructions of the DNA RNA to make copies of the virus part of the antigen. Your body recognizes these and mounts an immune response ready to protect you the next time you encounter the virus. Pros. These vaccines can be quickly designed based on genetic sequencing alone. They can be easily manufactured, meaning they can potentially be produced cheaply. The DNA RNA fragments do not cause COVID-19. The cons. There are no approved DNA RNA vaccines, which we already know. We know there are only any authorization. As they only allow a fragment of the virus to be made, they may prompt a poor protective immune response, meaning multiple boosters may be needed, which is the reason why you need the booster shot, the second shot. And then there's a theoretical probability vaccine DNA can integrate into your genome. We can throw this last part out. All right. Now, the speed at which these vaccines can be designed, needing only the genetic sequence of the virus, is why these vaccines were among the first to enter clinical trials. An RNA vaccine, mRNA 1273, Moderna developed Moderna U.S. National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Disease, advanced to clinical testing just 2 months after the virus was sequenced. There you go. Moderna pricing vaccine, 32 to 37 per dose.
So
Here
that
we go.
answers the how fast and why.
Yeah. Number 2, virus vectors, which is what he touted over here. These vaccines, vaccines, listen to this closely. Listen to this closely, ladies and gentlemen. These vaccines use a virus, often weakened and incapable of causing disease itself. To deliver virus antigen to the body, the virus' ability to infect cells, express large amounts of antigen, and in turn trigger a strong immune response, make these vaccines promising. Example of viruses used as vectors include vaccinia virus, used the first ever vaccine against smallpox, and adenoviruses, which is what we're dealing with Johnson & Johnson, a common cold virus. Pros, highly specific delivery of antigens to target cells and highly expression of antigen after vaccination. Often a single dose is enough to stimulate long-term protection. Cons. People may have existing levels of immune protection to the virus vector, reducing the effectiveness of the vaccine. In other words, the body raises an immune response to a vector rather than to the antigen. Con. Low-scale production of some virus vector vaccines means they are less cost-effective. One high-profile example, the University of Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine AZD1222, formerly known as ChAdOx1. One of the 2 vaccines an Australian government wishes to use should phase 3 clinical trials prove successful. This vaccine is based on modified chimpanzee adenoviruses. And y'all want me to take the AstraZeneca, when we already got people in the community scared of evolution, scared, talking about they gonna put some monkey stuff in you and all of that. Cons. 2 adenovirus-based COVID-19 vaccines have been approved for early limited use internationally. These are developed in the Chinese Academy of Military and Medical Sciences with CanSino Biologics and Gamaleya Research Institute, part of Russia's health ministry. There you go. So we're gonna move on to inactivating. Inactivated vaccines are tried and trusted method of vaccination, right? We all know, right? These are the weakened dead virus. They stick it in you. So the pros is known technology generally considered safe, can be used in people with weakened immune system. Cons, low immunogenicity. so requires multiple boosters. All right. The Chinese government has granted emergency use for theirs. That Sinovac. Remember when I hollered out the Sinovac? I said it's got the weakened and dead strand in it. Y'all remember when I said that? Sinovac or Coronavac is what they called it. There you go. That would be pretty much close to the conventional way. Now, live attenuated viruses are among the most successful existing vaccine strategies already used to protect against measles and polio. These contain virus weakened in the lab. The virus is still viable live, but cannot cause disease. After vaccination, the viruses in these vaccines grow and replicate, stimulating an excellent response, immune response. Y'all can get this if y'all want to. Strong protection vaccine mimics the natural infection process, cost-effective, large-scale manufacturing, familiar regulatory approval pathway, single immunization without needing extra molecule adjuvants to stimulate the immune. Cons, very rare potential to revert to a disease-causing state, limited use in people with weakened immune systems due to potential safety concerns, and can require cold storage, which may limit potential for distribution. Several live attenuated COVID-19 vaccine candidates are currently in preclinical trials. Our group of Griffith University has partnered with vaccine manufacturer Indian Immunologist Ltd to develop a live attenuated vaccine. The next one is a protein subunit. I don't even want to get into the protein subunit. I'm going to skip that. In a nutshell, not all vaccines currently being developed to prevent COVID-19 will be successful. Safety issues or lack of protection will halt some. So a broad portfolio of vaccine approaches and technologies is progressing through human trials is reassuring. We don't want to put all our eggs in one basket. Ultimately, do not take the Johnson & Johnson vaccine because it's only 72% efficacious against, protecting you from a severe disease and death. And that's what COVID, and that's what Chavis is over here propagating to our people. That Johnson & Johnson is dope. Now, he didn't fell off, but he'll be back. So because he fell off, I'm about to rock out. Hold on 1 second, y'all. All right. Now, mRNA vaccine, Q&A vaccine 101, mRNA and adenoviruses. I ain't gonna be too redundant, but I'm gonna give y'all the business. Why am I a proponent for mRNA vaccines? Because mRNA is the way. It's new technology. This thing dissolves after up to 4 days, within the first to 4 days that you get the vaccine. It trains your body, or it sends a message, it calls you up. Hey, listen, bro, we're in the middle of a pandemic. I need y'all to get y'all act right. Within 7 to 10 business days, I'm gonna leave you a little note, and y'all need to, you know what I'm saying, get the homies together and build some protection. In 7 to 10 days, not 14 days, within the first 10 days, the mRNA, the messenger, left the body 4 days after it's been vaccinated. So 6 days after that, it's like, all right, I'm out of here, y'all. Y'all hold it down. Peace. It leave the body. Now your body going through the whole phase of building up what it needs to build up to create the spike. So when the body encounters the spike from the outside after 10 days, they war ready. While you still look at 10 days, you still trying to build up some immunity with Johnson & Johnson. They say 14 days, you get, 72%. 28 days, you get to 85. With mRNA, I'd had dose 1. I done built my immunity up, and I'm over that 66 threshold. I'm over that 70% threshold. I just come back at 21 day or 28 day, and I get the booster. When I get the booster, I'm in the game. I'm 95% efficacy versus 85% efficacy from one shot after a month and a week. So what am I talking here? Why am I arguing with my dear brother Chambers? Why are we deliberating on mRNA versus viral vector? Because it's simple. Yeah, the one shot sound cool. Yeah, you get a little efficacy after 2 weeks. Yeah, the efficacy increases after another 2 weeks. Yeah, you know, it's gonna serve you well. Absolutely. But with that mRNA, that messenger, when it call up the homies and be like, look, I'm here. I got the package with me. I'm finna leave it here. Over the next few days, I'm gonna show y'all how to do it. Then I gotta dip because I need to go somewhere else and handle some business. The mRNA is a gangster. Straight up, it's the plug. He come drop the load off, and then he dip. And then in about 3 weeks, he gonna come back and holler at you again and be like, look, I pulled up on y'all to re-up. Everybody need to re-up right now. He dropped the load off again, and then he dipped. But with Johnson & Johnson, he only coming one time. In one trial, he coming one time. The plug coming once. And then we don't know how long that immunity gonna last. We don't know if it's 6 months. We don't know if it's 90 days, 120 days. You know what I'm saying? We don't know if it's half a year or a whole year. But with that mRNA, we already like, bruh, I'm a year in, bruh. You know what I'm saying? And the plug telling me and the plug, the last message the plug leave you is that I'm giving you at least a year, but I'm working on 2 right now. Just letting you know, bruh. I'll be back possibly in 2. I might not even have to come back in 2. So what is we talking about? Where's Chavis at? Where you at? Get back. Oh, here you go. Here you go. I'm in here beating him up. He was in the back. My bad,
no, my
dog.
phone dead.
I ain't
My
hear you
phone
pop.
dead, bro.
Oh, his phone dead. Well, I'm beating your ass while your phone dead. You need me to repeat anything? You on mute. Nah, you ain't on mute, but you ain't saying nothing. So anyway, as I was saying, with the mRNA is the plug. The viral vector, it's the middleman. There's a difference between having a plug and having a middleman. Yeah, it's a price constriction, right? When the plug come back that second time, he dropping all the weight off. But with the middleman saying, I got you, dog. I'm gonna be about 85%. But you got to give me a little bit more time, man, to see how you work in this package. If you work in this package, cool. You might, you know what I mean, 90 days, you know what I'm saying, 180 days, you might be in there, you know what I'm saying? You might get 365 out of me. I don't know yet. But the plug, like, bro, I already got 365. Mess with your boy. Moderna then already came out and told you, look, bro, I'm a year strong, possibly 2. That's Moderna. Moderna said, I'm a year strong, possibly 2. We working on more data. People be like, man, I don't want to get no shot every year. It's only gonna be a booster if they give it to you. It could be similar to the flu. However, the risk of not even being vaccinated at all can cause severe or life-threatening problems for you. Let me move on. So let's deal with vaccine facts. Kent, I'm gonna say it one more time for you, Kent. Moderna has already came out publicly and said they vaccine possibly 2 years, bro. They really the CEO really said one. He came out and said one before, and now he got his chest out a little bit more and say we might even be 2. Why he's saying it right now is because they got data in the next coming months is gonna show signs of at least a year of a protection. So let's get into this overview. Vaccination to prevent disease was first conceptualized in the 18th century, and by the early 20th century, vaccines for disease included tuberculosis, yellow fever, and influenza had been developed. By 1980, vaccination had been used to eradicate smallpox globally, one of the only 2 infectious diseases to date to be eliminated from the environment. Numerous vaccines are responsible for preventing millions of illnesses annually. Let me get this brother in, man, because I'm over here just kicking him upside the head. And I know you want to respond, bro. I know your phone dead. I know you're trying to figure your device out, but I can't hear you at all. None of us can hear you. Okay, there you go. You back.
You can hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Nah, I missed all. My phone did. I got a short in my charger.
Okay, so you missed my rebuttal. You missed my rebuttal.
I heard piece. I heard a piece of it about the plug, and I couldn't get the substance. I just caught the end before my phone died. What happened?
So look, mRNA is the plug. All right, the plug is like, bruh, I'm finna come drop off the set. Now, give me 3 weeks, I'll be back to give you some more. And that's gonna last you even longer because I'm gonna bring the big load the next time I come. Right now, I gotta see how you handle business. So the messenger is just pulling up and like, look, bro, I'm gonna be in here up to 4 days. Once I see you got, you know what I'm saying, I'm gonna show y'all how to cook it up. I'm gonna show y'all what y'all need to break it down, bag it and all that. Once I seen you got that, I'm out the door. And then when I come back, it's your re-up time. And then, you know what I'm saying? It's the same thing. I'm gonna be here for a couple of days, help you get your distribution together, and then I'm out the door. Now with your middleman, Johnson & Johnson, they like, bro, I'm just pulling up. You know what I'm saying? I'm pulling up on one time. When I pull up for the one time, I'm gonna take 2 weeks. The plug, like, bro, I'm gonna take 10 days. So it's 10 days versus 2 weeks. And then we don't even know how we don't know how long the middleman that put so
that good though. I like that. That was a beautiful framing you did. Yeah. But it's 2 weeks. 10 days. That's 1 more day. That's it. That's it. That was good though. I like how you did that. That was immaculate. Immaculate frame to persuade somebody one way, you know. It worked.
Hey,
the plug pulled up though. He pulling up either way. Johnson pulling up.
Look,
huh?
Johnson & Johnson pulling up. It ain't pulling back up
though, right?
He pulling up.
He is pulling up.
He pulling up, but he ain't get. Listen, he pulling up and only give me 85% of the work when I need.
Stack, man. He just telling you, hey, man, I'm gonna give you this work, man. Don't be doing all this splurging, man. I need you to just get the work, take care of your business, man, and just wait on me. Don't do too much. You hot right now. You know what I'm saying? You got to chill out. You can't be out here frolicking.
You ain't hot. But see,
you know
that's what you. You see Johnson & Johnson pump faking in because it ain't even hot. I'm on a whole new block. look. mRNA, like, bruh.
It's hot. It's a pandemic. It's a pandemic.
Like,
it's hot out here, man.
Like, it's the spot, bruh. I'm gonna show you how to organize your business in 4 days, and then I'm out. The next 6 days, you gonna get your logistics together, and then you gonna start operating. And then I'm gonna come back in 3 weeks and see how you doing. If you're doing real well, then I'm gonna give you enough to last you all year. You just gotta make sure your warehouse is trapping. Your warehouse is secure. Your people is trapping, and you doing what you need to do against this thing. And then that's what that's doing. But guess what though? What I don't know if you missed this. I said Moderna so cold with the sack. They talking about 2 years with it. They talking about 2 years with it. They know they got it. Yeah, they know they got it.
I heard that. I can't deny that.
Yeah, I know you seen it. I know you
that. They got the A1 Yola. They got the A1.
Yeah.
I seen the pack, man. I seen it's A1. You know what I'm saying? I seen the maker. She A1. You know what I'm saying? So
they got the Tasmanian stamp, and you got the Super Mario Brothers stamp. It's 2 different places, bro. 2 different plays. You know what I'm saying? We got a
product.
You got a stamp. You got a stamp, but it ain't the Tasmanian.
Got a product. It's not A1. It's not the A1, yo. It got a little whip, a little small whip in there. You know what I'm saying? But it get the job done. You know what I'm saying? They gonna be on it. It's gonna get you where you need to go.
I'm gonna tell
you
you.
Can't be doing all the extra.
Bro, I'm gonna tell you one more time.
To go to work and come back home.
Can't
go to the party. Can't do none of that.
You talking to see? Here go the problem. This the thing with the plug. The Tasmanian stamp is telling you, bro, look, I know you ready to get back to work. I know you ready to go to the club. I know you ready to go, you know what I'm saying, dates. I know you want to do all this. I know you ready to take the mask off, bro. But what I'm telling you is, if you just give me, listen, take this first load, and when I come back in 3 weeks with the rest of that work, you're going to be Gucci. But I got to go handle business everywhere else. And when I handle business everywhere else, it ain't going to be 72%. It's going to be that 95. It's going to be that pure. I ain't going to be 72. I'm going to be 95.
You're right. But the thing is, see, you're going to have that 95 out there intermixing with that 72. So in essence, you'll be okay. You know what I'm saying? You just got to stay away from the 25 or whatever.
We will see what the adverse are.
You know what I'm saying? You need to stay around Moderna, stay around with Pfizer taking individuals, and you will be fine. And then the efficacy will raise because you ain't around people where you can catch. You got to set yourself up in a good position. You know what I'm saying? You can't be out here being Billy Badass.
Placebo. I hope she ain't got the placebo.
She said that she felt nauseous. She was tired. She laid around for like a couple days. So I don't know.
Placebo do that to you too. Anyway,
it could. That's what I told her. I said maybe.
Yeah.
They gonna
when she find out.
She gotta go take her next shot, and I think in February. I forgot the exact date. I don't tell you the exact date on here. Just got a visit, but you got the card or whatever. But
let me expound. Let me expound on this data though, because you know what I'm saying. You got your chest out over 66% worldwide. You know what I'm saying, and I'm talking about.
They producing antibodies though. Antibodies is being produced.
Okay, I'm saying that y'all.
We got some action.
I'm saying that. So you mean to tell me, all right, so this gonna be the difference between the work, right? I'm going in the hood, dropping the pure off. You coming in the hood with that back.
A1 Yola. I came in there with some good whip. It's some good whip though. This not the, you know what I'm saying, that nigga messed up on. It's good, it's just not as potent.
It ain't
what I'm saying? My whip game is strong. Like my wrist is A1, so I did that. Just Johnson & Johnson, they put their wrist in that. It's A1 in essence of it's gonna do something, but is it A1?
A1
as far as its capabilities? No.
Okay. I got you. So again, we're in the middle of a pandemic, and we seeing 95%. We seeing 95. We can't wait a whole month to get to 80, 85%. We can't wait a whole month. We trying to get to 95 because
You can't wait. You just gotta stay out the way, man. You gotta stay out the way.
15%, bro. Listen, that 15% is a big deal. I have a 15% chance of being infected of having
why you need to be even more careful and mindful of your behavior.
Nah,
you don't got that A1 whip, and even with the A1 whip, you still can transmit. You know what I'm saying? You still. You know, we can't act like that. We ain't just out here, you know what I'm saying, running around not asymptomatic with some Moderna. You in the first couple of weeks, we all in the same boat. We're all in the same boat. Let's be realistic.
See, look,
we don't got no production.
That's a whole problem. See, with the viral vector, it's a whole problem. You know what I'm saying?
It's a problem. I don't know.
Man,
I don't know if I agree with that.
Messenger to pull up on me, bro. I don't need this adenovirus stuff coming on, and then you want to put AstraZeneca in me, and then you know what I'm saying. I'm already talking to black people that get mad when we talk evolution, think we come from monkeys, and then you finna tell me that they using some stuff that potentially got some chimp in it. You see what I'm saying? Like you trying to run that by me?
But I'm saying though,
you Johnson and Johnson.
You use a grade 8. You can't be too mad about having the chimp action. You was a grade 8, so you gotta keep that in mind. You a hominid, so anything dealing with that is just part of the game. You know what I'm saying?
Give me
before your time.
Give me the ingredients. What's the ingredients?
I don't got.
You got
I just know it's a Adenovirus and some. I think, matter of fact, I don't even think it's that much adjuvants and all that, and I don't know if that's in here.
See what I'm saying? We can't even get the science. We still waiting on the science on Johnson.
You being picky about the ingredients?
We talking about we can't even get the
ingredients, man. They told you about the science. They gave you a whole video right there.
Nah.
You go on to Janssen on YouTube. Janssen got a video. They got the whole science right there. They break it down real basic, real clear, so you don't get confused.
Where is the data? I'm looking.
Where is it?
Where is these ingredients at?
What you need? Hold on, man. You about this?
Baby powder. What's in it?
What's baby powder in there?
We got hydroxychloroquine in it. What's in the Johnson?
Oh man, I don't know if they got none of that. We know it got adenovirus in there, inactivated on top, off the muscle. Before you even
I got the inactivated virus in me.
You got that in there, and it's inactivated. It's inactivated. You're right. You got plenty of viruses on you. You got viruses in you every day. You got some kind of virus. You come in contact. It may not be infectious.
Nah, I'm tired of taking those kind of back. I need some evolution in my medicine.
I feel you. I respect that. I need that too. But if you can't get that though, that's the thing. What is you gonna do? You gonna run around bare? You out here
trying to give me this stage medication.
You trying to get butt naked though?
Nah, bro.
Huh? You gonna be out here but producing no antibodies? Are you trying to you trying to have some of these complications that you was just talking about with your brain and all these things?
Let's go.
I don't want that. Me personally, I don't want to be worried about can I taste stuff? I like the way my food tastes when I eat a burrito. I like the way that food tastes, man. I like to smell that, you know what I'm saying? So I would be personally, I don't mind, you know what I'm saying, as long as it works, you know what I'm saying? I'll take that. But if I had a choice, I'd go with Moderna. I'm not gonna sit here in front.
You do what? Say that again. People, can they listening?
If I had a choice, if Travis had a choice, and he could just pick, I would pick Moderna myself.
Over what?
But if over Pfizer, over Johnson & Johnson. But if I couldn't get that, if I couldn't get the Moderna, I would be okay with Johnson & Johnson over Pfizer for a cut. You know, I seen it's a lot of. I don't have me personally. I would take any of them just to be completely honest. 'Cause I'm a healthy dude. I don't have no allergic reactions to much of anything, probably but some strawberries. You know what I'm saying? Some chocolate or something. But outside of that, I never had no issues with no vaccine to where I felt like I needed to be concerned. I didn't took a tetanus or
The flu shot is a safe, proven way to lower the chances you'll get sick or give the
pull it up.
Nah, that was my bad right
What's
there.
that?
That was my bad right there. That wasn't supposed to happen like that. So all right, I'm gonna share my screen real quick. Cause we just having some fun, ladies and gentlemen. We playing, you know what I'm saying? We having some fun. Both vaccines are viable assets to our community. We just need to be vaccinated and make sure we on our game. Because some of these vaccines that we took as children, they weren't 90% effective.
No, they was not.
You know what I'm saying? They wasn't. They was above that 50% threshold. It needed to be 50, 60% threshold. So let me get into these two real quick. You know, Johnson & Johnson put out a stellar product. You know what I'm saying? But it's outshined by the mRNA vaccines because of the efficacy levels were so high. So let's just take a little look and see what's going on with this. From JAMA, again, Fair Use Act, we dealing with the sciences and we trying to learn as much as we can for our people. I know we got people, you know, falling off, tuning in, whatever y'all got going on, man. It wasn't what some of y'all wanted to hear, I know. But hey, we got to do it for the people who here to learn.
Two vaccines against COVID-19. Both are mRNA vaccines, and data show they are highly effective. But physicians and patients have many important questions about these vaccines, so we reached out to infectious disease and global health expert Dr. Carlos Del Rio for evidence-based answers. Can I take the vaccine if I have immune disease, cancer, or am on immunosuppressive drugs?
There's no contraindication in my mind to take the COVID vaccine. What we don't know is how good your response to the vaccine is. So unfortunately, you know, clinical trials did not include people with immune compromised states. So we don't know if it's going to be, the response is going to be as good as it was in other people.
Can I take the vaccine if I'm pregnant or breastfeeding?
Women who were pregnant or breastfeeding were not included in the clinical trials. Having said that, there were women in the clinical trials that became pregnant and they're being followed closely. The American College of Obstetrics and Gynecology and the Society for Maternal Fetal Medicine and CDC have put out statements saying that there is no reason why a woman who's pregnant or breastfeeding should not receive the vaccine. And I would tell you personally, both my daughter and my daughter-in-law are breastfeeding, and my daughter-in-law already received the vaccine.
Can I take the vaccine if I have allergies?
Depends on what do you mean by I have allergies. You know, some people say I'm allergic to peanuts, I'm allergic to dye, I'm allergic to. It depends what you're allergic to. If you're allergic to one of the components of the vaccine, you definitely should not receive it. But if you have an allergy, you know, you break out when a bee stings you, you have no problem. You're okay receiving the vaccine.
What if I have a history of severe allergic reactions?
What I've seen so far is that allergic reactions and anaphylactic reactions are exceedingly rare. What I tell people is if you had previously a severe allergic reaction to a vaccine, or if you have a situation in which you have had an anaphylactic reaction, you need, in other words, you carry an EpiPen with you, you need to tell this to the place where you're going to get vaccinated, and they will observe you more closely. They'll be careful to have you under observation and have the EpiPen and all the other things ready to go.
Can I take the vaccine if I already had COVID-19?
You can take the vaccine, and we recommend that you take the vaccine. But what we're doing right now is we're telling people, again, because there's a limited vaccine supply, we're telling people if you had COVID-19, documented COVID-19, you don't necessarily need to get the vaccine right away. We're even telling people wait for 90 days or so your immune system is not as reactive yet, you know. But the reality is we want you to get the vaccine because we know from the vaccine studies that some people were enrolled when they had COVID, and they were also further protected by having the vaccine.
Is either of the vaccines better than the other, and can I switch between doses?
I was talking to a friend of mine, and I say, you know, it's a little bit like comparing Pepsi and Coke.
The reality is there are different brands, but they're essentially very similar, right? They have slight differences, but the efficacy is very similar. The safety profile is very similar. Having said that, what we are recommending in the US, if you got your first vaccine on Pfizer, you should get your second vaccine as Pfizer. If you got your first vaccine as Moderna, you should get your second vaccine as Moderna. Interestingly, the UK is not saying that. The UK is saying, we don't care what you got, you can take either vaccine. I don't know what the answer is. I'm more traditionalist. I got Pfizer in my first dose, and I'm going to get Pfizer on my second dose.
Can I only take one dose to minimize risk?
The UK and now the US is discussing whether we should just give one dose instead of 2 doses. What they're talking about is delaying the second dose. And the reason behind that is trying to vaccinate more people with just 1 dose rather than a small number of people with 2 doses. We don't know the answer to that. It will not minimize your risk. It may actually increase your risk of getting disease later on. I mean, the reason for the second dose is to actually enhance your immune response. So my recommendation at this point in time, and I'm talking to about what would I do for myself, I would take both doses. So it's very hard for me to tell people, 1 dose is fine, when myself, I want to get 2 doses.
I received the first dose and still got COVID-19. Should I take the second dose?
That's a really good question. I've seen this over and over. I had some questions come up all the time. I had a colleague of mine, he got vaccinated on Saturday. He started feeling bad on Monday. And by Tuesday, he was diagnosed with COVID. That means he simply had already COVID and was incubating. And the vaccine doesn't work right away, right? You need some time for your immune system to produce antibodies and start giving you a certain degree of protection. Probably about 2 weeks after the first dose, you start getting 10 to 14 days, you start getting some protection. Yes, you need to take the second dose, but a good question is, when do you take the second dose, right? And my recommendation is that you take the second dose. If you had the COVID right away after you got the first dose, probably take the second dose either 21 to 28 days after the first dose. You may want to delay it a little longer if possible. But other than that, I see no reason why you shouldn't take the second dose.
I missed my appointment for the second dose. How late can I still get it?
Well, we would like you to get the vaccine, the second dose, as soon as possible. The UK is even talking about delaying it for 12 weeks. So, is it possible to delay for 12 weeks? We don't have a lot of data, but I suspect you probably can delay it. I mean, this idea, both vaccines are essentially, Pfizer is 0 and 21 days, Moderna is 0 and 28 days. You can probably go, because of what we know about the immune response, you can probably extend that easily a couple, 4, 8, 12 weeks more, which is what the UK is doing.
Are there natural ways to improve my immunity?
Well, there's no really good natural ways to improve your immunity, but there's natural ways to improve your health, and that will improve your immunity, and that will decrease your risk of getting severe COVID in case you get COVID. So my recommendation overall is improve your health overall, control your blood pressure, control your weight, control your sugar, and if you do those things, your overall life expectancy is going to be better. So that's how you improve your immune system, by eating healthy, by exercising, and by living a healthy lifestyle.
Will virus mutations make the vaccine less effective?
Well, there could be viral mutations that make the vaccine less effective. Up to now, the viral mutations we've seen do not appear to make the vaccine less effective, again, because the vaccine produces broadly neutralizing antibodies. So there's more than one epitope that the vaccine is directed against. But there could potentially be a mutation that will make the vaccine not be effective. RNA virus, that's what they do for a living. They actually mutate continuously. They're changing all the time. The more rapidly we can stop transmission and vaccinate people, the less likely the virus is going to be mutating.
How long does protection last?
People in the clinical trials and phase 3 trials are going to be followed for a total of 2 years, trying to understand how long does protection last. What we know so far from people that were enrolled in the phase 1 studies, we know that up to now they're still immune. So we know that at least 6 months later, you still have immunity to this virus.
If you'd like to see more content like this, subscribe to our channel. Stay tuned for our live streams with researchers and public health experts, and many more videos on vaccines and other important topics.
All right, man. What y'all think about that? What he's saying, I'm waiting. Yeah, anybody waiting to get the vaccine is pseudo. What you waiting on? You either gonna get it or you not. Ain't no sense in waiting. What you waiting on? Look, it's just this simple. You know what I'm saying? Hold on, let me pull up Bloomberg. Pull up the vaccine tracker. More than 87.1 million. That number should have changed. Yeah, more than 87.1 million shots given. More than 87 million. It ain't even updated yet since 9 o'clock this morning. The U.S. has administered 27.3 million doses of the vaccine. 27 million. What you waiting on? Huh? What you waiting on? VARS calculated is reporting. They got the VARS system. What you waiting on? Huh? I put the link in the chat, man. Anybody want to get this work? Anybody? Nobody? All right. Okay. But it looked like Brother Unc is still working. I was reading something real quick. Okay, so I appreciate everybody tuning in. Thank y'all for those who rocked out for the full length of the shows, 2 hours, 23 minutes. You know, I'm not gonna hold nobody up and drag this thing out, man. I just wanted to get the information out, talk about the brain, you know, have a little playful conversation with Brother Chavis regarding viral vector vaccines versus mRNA vaccines. They're both are up for the challenge in preventing death and the severe spread of COVID-19. Make sure that you go to familyconnectedapparel.com, purchase you some Kofi Pie Side Research Team, Aussie Warrior Clan, Mboka clothing, and then Niger Valley clothing, and some other ones coming up in the future. Also, make sure that you go to KofiPieSideTV.com, Learning Market, and purchase our latest publication, Spiritual Combat, Volume 3. The book has been revised. Well, you probably, yeah, there you go. The book has been revised. Same cover, same information, but it will not have chapter 1. It will not lead with my chapter 1. It's going to lead with a different chapter. A different. We just rearranged it all together. We rearranged the book all together. So, you know, make sure you get Spiritual Combat. The link is in the description. From Cocaine to Consciousness. From, you know, One Night Before Bed if you got children. You know what I'm saying? Make sure you get the Conscious Community First Pan-African Journal, Killmonger's Corner Volume 1 and 2 from Brother Black Panther. Make sure you get Kalawa's Trip to the Motherland. As I Learned, We All Learn. Spears of the Mossy Volume 1 from Spears the Pen Volume 2. Spiritual Combat Volume 3 from the Kofi Pi-Psi research team. DC, are you saying that you have a compromised immune system? Yeah, make sure y'all get those works. Look for new and upcoming works and some other things. Also support the Kofi Pi-Psi research team. We have a scholarship program over in the Gambia with Gay and Gyro Skills Academy. We also have some our books. I think Spears of the Mosset Volume 1 is in a Dallas library. I mean, a Dallas, a Black-owned bookstore. Is it in Dallas? Yeah. Mary Popper's bookstore in Dallas. Yeah, I think she in Dallas. It's also in another library I can't think of right now. And potentially in another school system, we're working toward it. DC, yeah, they're gonna have something for you, bro. If you got a compromised immune system, they're gonna have something for you. You're gonna be able to get the vaccine. See, when you say that right there, that's more acceptable. We can understand why you would be a little bit hesitant because you have a compromised immune system and you need the science on that. And we need to give you the science on that. You know what I'm saying? Science needs to give you the science on that. Eventually, you're going to find out more. So, like I said, Black people are joining the anti-science movement set up by U.S. for worst pandemic infectious disease, experts say. Yep. Mm-hmm. By the way, they are about to increase the number of nursing home deaths from COVID because they were undercounted and not vaccinated. These people already had the disease and died. Mm-hmm. Wow. It's a shame when you gotta start back misinformation campaigns. Johnson & Johnson phase 3 data comes out next week. You will have a ruling from the FDA on an EAU for Johnson & Johnson soon. That ruling can be next week as well. When the data is released to the FDA when they file for EAU, they haven't really initially filed yet. But once the board reviews the EAU filing, more than likely because of the efficacy, they will get the approval. Because of the 66%, they'll get approval. It's really good after a month. So that 85% is also good because the vaccines that when we had as kids, they were just above 50%. I was looking at blackdoctors.org on Facebook, and they published an article that Black Americans are getting vaccinated at lower rates than white Americans. And they're absolutely right. Out of the 27 million vaccinated, we don't represent. We don't represent at all. So, and I was reading the comments. First comment I seen is from a dude who says, yeah, especially now after seeing what happened to Hank Aaron after his death, like Hank Aaron didn't even die from a vaccination. He died of natural causes. What are you talking about? So yeah, that's that on that, man. Chavy talking about he finna charge his phone at 3 o'clock. He can't even get a charge. He didn't want to get this work, y'all. He didn't want to take his beating that he would take. Ogden fell out of here too. So yeah, on that note, man, I don't know if Pseudo Killer's gonna be live tonight. I really don't know who gonna be doing what, but y'all know how it go with me. I ain't gonna hold y'all up. Enjoy your Friday. Shimmer Motel. Ladies and gentlemen, the books is in. The books are in. Yep. They in. They're here.